Anybody ever feel like this? A little bit overwhelmed by life? Anybody ever feel like you're being pulled in so many different directions? Or that you have a full-on life and maybe you lurch from one crisis to the next, or maybe they're not even crises, maybe they're just demands on your life. That life is actually pushing you along. Anybody ever feel like that? Some of you may feel like this. You know you've got your hands on an amazing vehicle that's promising you the ride of your life. But this is actually how you feel. That you're kind of going nowhere in a hurry. Anybody feel like that? That despite being busy, 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 and despite having an amazing vehicle that's promising you the time of your life, you're kind of going nowhere fast. And I guess what I'm here to share with you is that right now, no matter where you are in your life or in your business, right now, you can change things to go on to really achieve your true potential. You can go on to really excel in your performance. You can go on to achieve the greatest levels of health and physical well-being. You can break through any self-limiting beliefs that you have. Because I believe and I know with my 10.5 years experience with Forever that you can go on to create your ideal life. You know, I believe that there are 5 things, a really simple formula that you can follow to break through wherever it is you are right now and get off that and actually start moving forward. You see, in my 10.5 years with Forever, coming from a corporate life and having had a very successful career, when I started a family 11 years ago, I knew I wanted a different life. And my boys are 8 and 11 years old, and yes, I've achieved everything in the marketing plan, but it's not because there's anything special about me. I just did what I was shown, and I'm going to show you what I was shown. And of course, it starts with a goal. I know you're all thinking, yeah, I know that. I've heard that at every training I've been to. I need a goal. I need to know my why. But listen, if you felt like you're going nowhere fast, you need to revisit your goal. And when we talk in terms of goal, your goal needs to be incredibly specific. And what I've observed is people don't take the time to identify what their really specific goals are. Let me give you an example. If you wanted to phone me or send me an email, if you just randomly picked up your phone and dialed or pressed a bunch of numbers, would you reach me? No. So if all you've got in your head is, I want more holidays, does that guarantee you end up in Hawaii next year? Which means if you haven't taken the time to specifically put down where it is you want to go on holiday, if you ended up at Butlins in Blackpool, would that be okay? No, would it? No, and yet, why is it? People say all the time, I want more holidays, I want a new car, I want more time. They don't achieve those things, and I believe it's because they're not being specific enough. Have you taken the time to sit down and identify if you want more time? Where do you want that time to go? How much more time do you want? 5 hours a week? 10 hours a week? 20 hours a week? What will you do with that extra time? How much of that is going to be dedicated to your children, your elderly parents, playing golf? Whatever your thing is, racing cars. Because if you haven't taken the time to get to that level of details, you're selling yourself short. It would be just like picking up the phone, punching a bunch of random numbers, and expecting to get Jane on the phone. It's not going to happen. Your goals require specificity. You've got to be specific. And that's a step most people jump straight over. Now, like me, most of us, when we start with Forever, have never been encouraged to get that specific about our goals, have we? So it can be a new process for us to follow. And a great book that will help you just break through and get you comfortable with learning how to think and put yourself and your goals first is Jim Rohn's 7 Strategies for Wealth and Happiness. If you don't have that, I would encourage you to get a copy today and take it away and start to feed your mind to help you get specific about what you want. Now, getting specific is important, but it's not enough. What I've learned is you need a big, you're going to love this next picture. Look at this. You need a big and bold goal. I wasn't sure about him, but you know what? He's big and he's bold, and you're going to remember him now when you leave here today. If your goals aren't big and bold, you're going to keep doing the same old, same old. And if you have come across or at a stage in your life where you feel stuck in a rut, and maybe some of you are thinking, well, I've set the same goal 3 years in a row and I still haven't achieved it. You know what? Set a different goal. Because what I've learned is it's not extraordinary people that go on to achieve extraordinary things. It's ordinary people that have had the courage to set a big, bold goal. Let me ask you, if your success was guaranteed, what goal would you set? I believe that each and every one of us has those goals, those dreams, that we probably dare not even whisper because we're afraid of so many things. Maybe people telling us it's not right for us. Maybe we're afraid of success and we won't know how to handle that success. Big and bold is your key to breaking through being stuck in a rut. Big and bold is your key to moving away from going nowhere fast. If I look at my own experience, we've been in the business about a year when I came across this concept of big and bold. And I thought, you know what? I know what my big and bold goal is. We knew, Jeff and I knew, what our big and bold goal was, and that was to get Jeff out of his job. So Jeff had been in the corporate world over 30 years. For the last 10 years of his career, he's a senior executive position. He managed businesses right around the world for a big international company. Let me tell you, when we set a goal to get him out of his job in the next few years, do you think that was bold? Do you think our friends thought that that was bold or that we were nuts? Did that stop us? This is what I mean about big and bold. If your success was guaranteed, what would you aim for? Because I can tell you, 4 years after we set that goal, which was 5 years exactly after joining Forever, Jeff finished work. And that was 5.5 years ago. Bold is what gets you out of bed in the morning. Bold is what gets you to turn off the TV. It's what gets you to switch off all the negative people around you. So let me challenge you. Your goal needs to be specific, and it needs to be big and bold. Anybody who's got young children, maybe seen a film recently called We Bought a Zoo? Anybody seen We Bought a Zoo? Okay. Your homework tonight is to go away and watch that film, We Bought a Zoo, because it's going to teach you a concept called 20 Seconds of Bravery. I want you to think about some of the times in your life when your courage disappeared. And if you had just had 20 seconds of incredible bravery, what a different direction your life might have taken. And so big and bold is about being brave, and it is about being courageous. It's about being true to yourself and what you and your family deserve. So We Bought a Zoo, 20 seconds of incredible bravery, and you can change the direction that your life is going in. Right, next step in the simple formula is your goal has to be written down. And I know what you're all thinking. I know what I want. It's all in my head. And I know you're thinking that because I thought it, and probably everybody else who stood across the stage has thought it too. I know what I want. It's all in here. Listen, listen to this little phrase I've got. While blessed with permanent memory, our memory is cursed with lousy recall. So avoid the temptation to be cute and write it down. That's it. And I'm going to quote you some research. You've all heard it before, but you know what? I would bet my house that not everybody in this room has their goals written down. Am I right? So this next bit of research is worth repeating. Listen. In 1979, interviewers asked new graduates from the Harvard's MBA program, have you set clear, written goals for your future and made plans to accomplish them? These are the results. 84% had no specific goals at all. 13% had goals, but they were not committed to paper. 3% had clear, written goals and plans to accomplish them. In 1989, that's 10 years on, the interviewers again interviewed the graduates of that class, and you can guess the results, okay? The 13% of the class who had goals were earning, on average, twice as much as the 84% who had no goals at all. Listen, listen, even more staggering, do you remember the 3% who had the clear written goals? They were, on average, earning 10 times more than the other 97% put together. Listen, guys, I'm not a scientist, I'm not a researcher, but the facts are there for all of us to see. Write your goals down. It amazes me. What you get with Forever is a proven model, and yet we show you the proof. And still, write it down, write it down. You know, 10 and a half years on, everything we've put in our dream books, we've been able to achieve. Dream books, vision statement, there's so many tools available to help you. And we do live the life of our dreams. Jeff was able to give up work 5.5 years ago. My children are at, top independent schools in Oxford. They're going to go on to top independent senior schools. We have 2-3 months holiday a year. Listen, in our first dream book in 2002, we put in there a brochure, a travel brochure of Australia. So I thought people like me don't go to Australia. I mean, gosh, I come from working class parents, really, first generation of immigrants. We don't go to Australia. But people said, put it in your dream book. So I put it in my dream book, and I have to tell you, I didn't really believe that one day I would go to Australia. Ayers Rock was such a big thing for me. Do you know what? 8 years later, in 2010, was our first trip to Australia. And we went for a month. And you know what? Because that brochure was still in our dream book, funny enough, we've just come back from Australia. Do you know, I've learned, careful what you wish for, because you know what? You're going to get it. So why not wish for something that's meaningful and that helps you achieve your true dreams and goals? So for us, everything we've put in, we've achieved, and I know I'm very careful now about what goes in that book, because I know that's where our life is going to head towards. Right. Next process is create. Next step in the process is create discomfort. If you're stuck in a rut, it's because you're playing it safe. And listen, I'm just like you. I don't like change very well. I hate stepping out of my comfort zone. I'd much rather stay in where it's nice and warm and fuzzy. I know that about myself, so I know how hard it is to step outside. But what I've learned is not just in Forever, but in all walks of life. Every person who has ever really achieved great success, it's because they have formed the habit of doing the things that other people just don't like to do. There is no shortcut for lasting success. You've got to step out of your comfort zone. And the more we evolve into what I call the microwave society, today we live in a world where we place such a high value on speed and instant results. Well, the more society goes that way, I believe the more harm we do to ourselves, because true success does not come like that. It comes from hard work, and it comes from sacrifice, and it comes from learning from mistakes, and all of that happens outside of your comfort zone. And so, I say, if you never step out of your comfort zone, be prepared to be exactly where you are today. And so this is why having a big, bold goal is critical. So on those days when you need to scramble to find those 20 seconds of incredible bravery, it's having that big goal that's going to give you the courage to step out of your comfort zone. A book that will help you make the most of stepping out of your comfort zone and taking every opportunity to impact change is The Slight Edge. In fact, I've just started reading it again this week. You don't have to read books just once, over and over. The Slight Edge by Jeff Olson. How little changes, if you add up all the 20 seconds of bravery, how over time, how it can make a massive impact. Jeff Olson, The Slight Edge. Okay, and finally, stay emotionally connected. For me, all the steps up until now are great, but this is the one that's going to keep you on the path to success. Having a big, bold goal and being emotionally connected to it is a secret ingredient of success. It's not enough to just write down your goals in specific detail and then just shove them in the back of a drawer. You've got to keep them alive. They've got to become part of your daily life. And the way it was explained to me about how to get emotionally connected to a goal is to find out what the feelings behind the goal are. Let me give you an example. Let's say you've always had a goal to take your kids to Disneyland. Great. And I'm sure in your dream book you put a picture of you and your family, and next to it is a picture of Disneyland. But getting emotionally connected is going the next stage. And it's answering the question, how will you feel when you've taken your kids to Disneyland? Feel happy, excited, my children will be wonderful. Okay, so why is feeling happy about providing your children with that great holiday important to you? Because I feel fulfilled as a parent. I feel I'm able to give my children great experiences, and that helps me feel fulfilled as a parent. And you know what? Bingo, that's the emotional attachment. So although the trip is a tangible goal, it's why, it's the what's going on in here that's going to keep it alive. I'll give you a true example. I'll give you my first real big, massive goal before Jeff gave up work. Growing up, we never had a lot of money, and I always drove really interesting second-hand cars that most of the time got to where they needed to go. But when I started Forever and this idea of car plan, I thought, gosh, when one day I'm going to own a Jaguar, because for me, Jaguars meant success. And 2 years after getting started with Forever, I achieved car plan and went out and got my Jaguar, and gosh, that was an incredible day for me. Many of you who work with me know for 2 years on my kitchen cupboards was this great big poster of the car I wanted. It was navy blue, it had tan interior, and it had a wooden steering wheel. For me, that was incredible. I have no idea what's under the bonnet. I just know it has 4 wheels, but that wooden steering wheel was important. When people ask me why that car meant, because when Jeff went to buy the car, he rang me and said, I found one, but it doesn't have a wooden steering wheel. I said, I don't want it. Don't want it. He said, it's got a really good engine and blah, blah, blah. So whatever that stuff, it needs to have a wooden steering wheel. And why is because that was the image of achievement for me. For me, that was like a threshold of knowing I was no longer going to live the life of lack that I'd been used to up until that time in my life. Getting that car was not about the car. It could have been anything, really. But it was about walking through a door of the next phase of my life, which was a life I was going to create. Does that make sense to you? When you set your big and bold goals, are you taking time to connect with them emotionally? Because you see, I was willing to do whatever it took to get on car plan because I knew how achieving that, buying that car, what it was going to mean for me. Now, I've driven that car till its death. Nearly a year ago, I hit a deer on the motorway with that car, and I wrecked the car, but you know what? I haven't been able to part with it. It's still on my drive. Do you know why? My friends think I'm nuts, and that's okay. That wouldn't be the first time they think I'm nuts. Because every time I walk by that car, I think, you know what? If I can achieve that, anything is possible. Because people like me don't drive cars like that. What is going to get you out of bed half an hour earlier? Keep you up half an hour later. Switch the TV off. What's going to be big and bold? How are you going to keep your big, bold goal alive? I've been working on a goal the last couple of years. It's a big goal. And it's easy to get distracted when you're working on a long-term goal, isn't it? And a friend of mine a few months ago said, I bought you a key ring. This means nothing to nobody here. That's okay, it's an example. She bought me a key ring, and she said, each time, she said a few words to me, were quite personal, but each time you pick this up, it's going to bring it back right here. And you know what? How many times do you pick up your keys every day? I pick mine up loads, and every time I pick it up, it focuses me on that long-term goal I'm working towards. I'm serious about my big, bold goals, but they don't always happen instantly, do they? And how easy is it to get distracted? So how are you going to keep your goals alive? What's your prompt? Big and bold and stay emotionally attached.